Hi, everybody, and welcome back to our Diversity and Inclusion Speaker Series. Today, I'm very happy and proud that we have a two-time Olympian 100-meter sprinter, Gavin Smellie. Gavin is a former RBC Olympian and currently a Nike athlete as well. And we're really happy to have Gavin here today. And welcome, Gavin.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Paul.
Yeah, it's been great to speak to you over the last couple of weeks and get to know you a little bit, and
Yes.
what you're doing now, and a little bit of your journey.
Yes.
Maybe just as an introduction, maybe you could tell some of our members, obviously, who you are, how where you were brought up, and how you became a two-time Olympian.
Okay, perfect. So we're gonna need 3 hours for this.
Yes, lots of time.
Exactly. But no, I actually was born and raised in Jamaica. I came up at the tender age of 14 years old to Canada. My father was here for many years, and he fought for making sure me and my mom was brought up here to Toronto. And so that was a great opportunity for me and my family to reunite, because it's been years that I've seen my dad when he brought me up. So that was a blessing in itself. And then I turned out to actually went to school right by his restaurant, George Harvey, because my dad actually, unfortunately at the time he had a restaurant, which was a great thing for him. And I went to George Harvey High School at the time, and then I played a bit of mostly soccer at the time. I was very, very, very skilled and unique soccer player, which I didn't even know I had speed at that time, actually. So I did want to play more competitive soccer, because at the time we were playing AAA soccer in my high school at George Harvey. So I wanted to play Quad A, which is a little bit more tougher, and you get recruits coming out a lot to see, because at the time my focus was to get to the NCAA for soccer. And then I transferred to Dante Alighieri High School, and from there, because of the transfer rules, I had to sit out a year. So at that time, I didn't know what else to do but just stay active. So in staying active, I did other sports. I did basketball, I did volleyball, I did badminton, you name it. And the last one was track and field. And again, at the time, I didn't know how fast I was. So I was always intimidated by some of these big guys. They're in their tights and everything. I'm just in my soccer shorts, going to run. So, it was pretty scary experience for me. And I didn't really want to do it. But for some reason, I just went out there and I, stepped on the track, and, the gun went, and I won my first race. So from there, I moved on to go to get fourth at OFSA that year in the 200 meters. So I knew from there I had somewhat of a talent in track and field. So the following year, I decided to, I was in grade 12 at the time. So I decided to repeat grade 12 again. So I could open up more opportunities for scholarships. And I went out again. At this year I could play soccer, and I ended up training for track and field that year. And again, I made it to both OFSAs for soccer and track and field. And it was down to choosing which one would get me closer to that NCAA scholarship. And I ended up choosing track and field. And I did pretty well, came second and third that year, which opened up a lot of doors for me to get me maybe 30 different scholarship offers from all over the United States. And I ended up choosing to go to Western Kentucky University, which I did my 4 years, and did very well on the track as well. I got a two-time All-American, which was good. And at the point that time, one year I was actually ranked top 3 in the nation, which I went on to actually get that title of All-American that year, the 200 meter as well. So from there, Team Canada heard of me, and I did a lot of calls from Team Canada. I got the opportunity to go to different games like university games, Commonwealth Games, Pan Am Games, and then that gave me that I guess because they're considered more developmental competitions, so that gave me that experience to go out there now to make that world championship team, and then obviously making that Olympic team. So from there, yeah. So
Wow.
Two-time Olympian now, which thanks to that crazy journey that I didn't expect the twist, especially coming from soccer, because I love soccer. Soccer was a passion for me. So just to see that I just turned and went to track and field and actually did very well at track and field was a blessing for me.
Yeah, it's thank you for sharing that. And it's
Yeah.
crazy how things change so quickly for you. Like you said, at 14, immigrating and moving countries to probably, I'm guessing about maybe 19, and being at
Yeah.
Western Kentucky, right? All within,
Yeah.
4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how quickly that can happen for someone.
Yes, and and even the education piece of it too is just like, I didn't even know what I think I didn't even know I had to take SAT and ACT and all these things. So
Mm-hmm.
it was and to be honest with you, I was just more focused on the sports side of things, and I realized quickly that education piece meant a lot. My first year going there, my coach told me if I don't have a certain GPA, then I can't compete. So
Right.
I made it my mission to make sure that I was able to get that GPA, which I ended up just getting a perfect 4.0, because I was just like, man, I can't,
Congratulations.
I can't just have come all the way from Canada to Bowling Green, Kentucky, and
Mm-hmm.
not be able to run, right?
Yeah.
So I realized that education piece is very key. So guys, if y'all listening out there, make
Mhm.
sure
That's
education,
right.
you can't get away from it. You can't get
Yeah.
away from it.
No, you're 100% correct. No matter what school it is
Yeah,
you're going to, right?
yeah,
It's a school, right? So you're there to learn. You're there to educate yourself,
exactly.
and you're only doing yourself a disservice if you don't take the time to do that as much as take the time and effort to work on
Exactly.
your sport too. So great
Yep.
message, great message.
Yeah.
And um, you talked about you said the word dedication, and I think that's
Yes.
a big thing, and it's something always talked about when you, whether you're high performance athlete, professional athlete. There's
Yes.
dedication, and I think another word that probably goes with
Discipline.
is
Discipline.
sacrifice and discipline,
Yeah, exactly. That's
right?
a big thing.
So
Yeah.
can you maybe talk about that from deciding to switch sports and what that
Uh,
took for
oh,
you
that's
as
a perfect question. When I switched sports, funny enough, that I remember that particular year, because that's the year I had to do a little. I went to, sometime you go to these what do they call it now? Like these fairs, or something in the mall that has like competitions where you just if you do this, then you win a prize. So
yeah.
I went, and there's McDonald's is there that had a competition going on. If you kick the ball in a certain hole, then you could win up to a year supply of McDonald's vouchers. So I was just like, okay, what I got to do? They
Mm.
said they showed me the hole I have to kick the ball in. And they said this small hole gets a Big Mac. This small hole gets this, and then this smaller hole gets a year worth of McDonald's. I'm like, okay, that's it. That's all I'm going for. And
Yeah.
then one shot, got it. One shot, got it. So a year worth of McDonald's. So faithfully, every month I picked up my Big Mac combo.
Yeah.
And then when that same year, I started doing track, and then my coach told me at the time that, we have to get rid of fast food. So I'm like, hold on. I have a year worth of
I've
McDonald's.
got free. It's free.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I love I don't know what it is about McDonald's fries, but I can't. I have weakness for that. So
Yeah.
that's a big sacrifice for me to make. And the coach told me how to get rid of vouchers and don't indulge in any type of McDonald's or any type of fast food. So that's a big sacrifice I had to make. And I knew once I made that sacrifice and just become, I knew I was just going to become disciplined and everything else. So, when the coach said, okay, we have to go out in the cold and run miles, I hate running miles. As especially like I was like considered a lazy soccer player, but I was still good enough. Like when I needed to run, I run and I scored, right? Like I was really averaging like maybe 30 goals a year or something ridiculous like that. So just like, when they say I'm lazy, I'm like, how could I be lazy? I was still I was still scoring, but for some reason I was considered that lazy soccer player. So when the coach told me to like, listen, you have to go out and run these miles, and then I have to come back and then run like a 600 meter, 300 meter, 3x1. I was like, man, that sounds like a lot. And I was like, okay, so that's a workout. It's over. He's like, no, that's just the warm up. I'm like, so man, I gotta do all of that just to warm up. And yeah, then after we did that, then I had to do hills along with the workout. I had to do a lot of core. Man, the things, I had to lift weights, I had to squatting a lot. Man, it was just a lot I was doing, and I just got so immune to it. Like it was, I was so drawn to the fact that I knew once I completed all this hard work that it would pay off. So I knew that year, it was crazy. It's just like I knew for sure that I was going to actually be in medal contention at OFSA for sure, because I'm doing all this work. There's no way I can't be on this podium. So I did everything, and yeah, was on the podium. And then the same thing with college. College, I bring that same mentality, do all the work and it'll pay off. The first year was really rocky, but then the second year, my sophomore year, I started pulling it together. Everything started falling into place. As I dominate workouts, I dominated on the track. And then my junior year was even better. So, I had several different companies, Nike, Adidas, like looking at me for sponsorship and whatnot, even my junior year. So it just, again, like I tell kids all the time, once you have a map, you have, once you just follow that map, follow that road, it should be easier for you to compete. And so, our motto is like, we say train hard and run easy, or compete easy. So that's our motto. Yeah.
Yeah. I also get the impression from you that it's a passion, but there's you love it, right? It makes you happy. Like when you talk about it, you smile, right?
Yeah.
It brings you that joy, right? And
it does.
I think that's important too, to talk to our athletes to, as much as you mentioned there that it was extremely hard work when you talk about, well, that's just the warm up. Now we got to start working. You still did it, right? And
exactly.
And now you like you said, you have a smile on your face when you talk about it.
Yes.
And I think that's really important.
No, exactly. Like, I mean, to be honest with you, like it's, if you're not passionate about it, I tell people, if you're not passionate about, especially like things like track and field, which is a very hard sport to train for, then it don't make no sense, because like you're not going to do the things that you need to do to get to that level. You're not going to train as hard, and things, track and field is always going to be so hard in the beginning. It's very difficult in the beginning. But once you get past that hump, everything becomes easier, right? Mm-hmm. So I always tell people to just don't focus on the beginning. It's going to be tough. Like, you're going to go through it, right? But the thing you have to look at is that goal at the end, that light at the end, that tunnel, is there. I promise you, once you like get across that hump, I promise you'll see the promised land. So it's just getting over that hump, and everything will come into place. And again, you have to be passionate about what you do. You have to love it. Even there's times I don't get funding and stuff like that to support what I'm doing. I have to do some grimy work to actually make end meet to actually stay within the sport, because I knew, even though I don't have funding at the time, I knew once I put in the work and stuff like that, then everything will come back, right? So you have years when you're down because you get injured, or something. For me too, I got married my 2016 year, which is an Olympic year. So doing things like that, it does not always pay off. But that was my Olympics. I chose that year to be like, this is my Olympics, to get married to my beautiful wife. So it didn't end up making the team for Olympic that year, but that was fine. I made my choice. So the following year, I didn't have that funding or anything I needed. So I knew I had to just buckle up and do what I need to do to make sure that in the next year I run very great and be able to get back my funding.
Yeah.
And even a sponsorship too, with Nike sponsoring me. Things like that can happen.
When you mention, the hard times, and to kind of go, back a little bit to, what we discussed within these conversations is, you have hard times of, the physical element of your sport. Did you ever come across any difficult times or times where maybe, you had doubts, or there was things that were maybe pushing you away from the sport, and it might be because of, you being, a Black man, or, coming from Jamaica, or those sort of things? Did you feel there were any barriers or anything like that were there?
Most definitely. To be quite honest with you, like, I didn't even know, before what it was said, like the systemic racism. I really didn't know that was a thing. But I started to realize that I learned more about organization, and I thought about things, especially back in the day. I used to see a lot of guys that weren't as good as me, to be honest. Like I was doing very well on the track, but I seen a lot of white people and getting more than what I was getting, and I knew I was well deserving of it. Funny enough, the RBC program, was one of the programs that I had a difficult time getting into, but I knew back in the day, I don't know what it is, but it was just so hard. And I knew, like, me training and I have to do these grimy work, versus RBC. Now they have that flexibility for you and you're getting paid. It was a tough pill to swallow, because it's just like looking at, what am I doing this for, right? Am I doing this? I have a family, and, at the time I had a daughter, so, things were getting hard. And then I seen all these people like getting all these, funding and all that stuff that, they deserve to get it. But just looking at what I accomplished on the track and all that stuff, I thought there would be room for me to get something at the time, but I wasn't getting anything that. So it did like affect me looking back at it. And I just told myself, listen, like, what's for you will come. You just have to like keep grinding, just give that a blind eye, and just keep grinding. I love the sport too much to just give up. So I always still grind, just because, again, passionate about the sport. And and then what, things end up coming into play. I started making some talks with people, and starting to let them know, like, I'm well deserving of these things, and it started coming into play. So I'm very thankful that eventually came into play, and yeah, I'm here now.
Good. One thing I'd like to bring up as well is your university days in Kentucky.
Yes.
And if we're looking at the state, or the climate of the United States when it comes to racial um, relations, let's call it, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you, coming into a new country, coming into a university town
Yes.
in Kentucky?
To be quite honest with you, I had the um, so going down to university, I went to visit Nebraska, which was my first visit, and that wasn't. I To be quite honest with you, like I had a good time there, but I didn't feel like I belonged because again, like there's not a lot of people that look like me in Nebraska. And then the one guy that looked like me, they had him become my host, which was kind of weird because it's like we knew why
Mm.
he's my host, right? So um, just it felt a little bit uncomfortable, like being there, and I don't know, I just didn't feel like I belonged. So when I took a visit down to Western Kentucky, which is a school I chose, they actually had a lot of people that looked like me. I think 30% of the school had a lot of Black people. 30% Black was there, and a lot of them came from Louisville. And the coach, at the time, too, was Black as well. Is Black as well.
Mm-hmm.
So from being there, obviously feeling a lot more comfortable, and sometimes you just again, like sometimes you could do things that's uncomfortable to obviously get to where you're going to, but at that time I rather be in an environment that I thought obviously would make me become even better, not just on the track but like also off the track. And I felt like my coach, being that father figure to me at the time, I think that was a better move for me. So I definitely, my 4 years there, felt comfortable. The only thing there was a tease about was more so that I came from Canada. So,
Mm-hmm.
but when Drake came in the picture, then I was a cool guy all
Yeah.
of a sudden, which thank you, Drake. Drake saved my
Yeah.
my university years for getting teased a lot. So,
And they probably
but
asked
that
if,
was,
I'm sure they asked if you knew him as well, because you're from Toronto,
oh
he's
yeah.
from Toronto, you must know him.
Oh yeah. Of course. It was early stages of Drake at the time,
Mm-hmm.
so that was pretty funny. And then the obvious question where the people think we live in igloos over here, so it was just
Yeah.
more ignorance opposed to
Yeah.
just like the states.
Yeah. Well, it's great to hear you had a positive experience.
Yes.
It's also, you have that, that confidence and that kind of self-knowledge to say, okay, when you talk about Nebraska, this isn't right for me. I don't feel
Yes.
comfortable here. I don't think I'm going to be successful here.
Yes.
And making that decision to
Yes.
go to Western Kentucky. And I think that's another important message to the athletes, and choosing what's right for you, right? Not
Yes.
maybe what if there's some other influence or somebody's recruiting you to go to this school or that sort of thing, is do what's right for your path and
Yeah.
for your own situation.
Exactly. So, yeah, me choosing it was just a no-brainer to me. Like I knew for a fact that funny enough, the school wasn't the greatest with the guys. That the records down there were like basically high school records at the time. So when we came down there, we just started smashing every record. So and I knew the guys kept coming in with me as well were just as great. So I knew we were gonna like you know be great athletes. And we went on and we made some noise at NCAA. Funny enough, when we were running the 4x4 and we're in front of all these SEC, ACC schools, everybody was looking like, who's this school? Like, who's Western Kentucky? And why are they in front of LSU and all these big, major schools? And we didn't even have a track that year. We only had like a 100-meter track.
Wow.
Just yeah, so it's just like we actually went out and did that work. We didn't even have an indoor facility. We had to train outside all year. So man, it was just, it's just the grind is what you want,
Yeah.
and nobody could tell you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't, whatever the situation is, we knew going into competitions that we have no excuses. We can't go out there and let people know that, oh, we only had a 100-meter track or anything like that. We had to make sure, like, we had no excuses. Like, we're going to train regardless of the weather, anything. If it's raining, we're out there training,
Mhm.
so it was a grind for us, and I'm happy we took that path. It wouldn't have made me as tough as I am. Maybe Nebraska had all the facilities. Nebraska had indoor facilities, immaculate indoor facility too. Like
Yeah.
the track itself had like a little what's it called now? Where excel. Um, but yeah, it basically had like a 200 bank track.
Yeah.
That was like a big deal at the time, and weight room was immaculate. Like, they had the indoor football field, so they had everything going for them, and we just had like this one stripper track. Barely even had a football team at the time. So yeah, we did our thing.
Yeah. That's amazing. Um,
Mhm.
I guess a similar question would be, moving into your international competition, international travel.
Yeah.
How was it then for you, going into various countries and, um, like I said, just, being a black man in a country where that maybe, you know, there wasn't a lot of people that looked like you. And,
Yeah.
how was that kind of experience?
Yeah, I traveled I like a lot of places, so especially in Europe. But we have to understand that Europe, funny enough, is uh, are the ones that really pay to see us compete.
Hmm.
So as track and field here is not as big, like hockey is the dominant basketball, now soccer. Track and field here is not as big. Funny enough, over there is more like soccer and then track and field and then basketball.
Yeah.
So they spend big dollars to see us run, and we get paid well over there as well. But I did experience some awkward, um, situations where I went to a, a town that, like, somewhere in Czech Republic, and again, there was nobody that looked like me. It was weird. It was just like, the black guy walking into like this cowboy like central spot, which is actually how it was set up in a way. Which again, it was beautiful, like, the architect and all that stuff done in this Czech Republic town. But man, like, people stepped out and they're like looking, staring at you like, wow, that's what black people look like. Like, they have that stare.
Mhm.
But funny enough, going to the track, I was racing against a Czech Republic guy, and when they called my name, the whole stadium went crazy. But when they called his name, the national 100-meter for the national Czech Republic team, they barely made a squeak. So I was just like, wow, I guess my I don't know, my athletics paid off here,
Yeah.
and so it was kind of weird to see that, so yeah, I can't lie. That moment, I felt a little bit more comfortable. A
Mhm.
lot of people came up to me, obviously, for autographs and stuff like that. They had my pictures, everything. So that's how they value over there. But they I don't know what else they think about in their head. Like, oh, is this guy this? They're just good at sports. Like, black people are just good at sports. I don't know if that's what they think, or
Yeah.
just, But I did get the appreciation and everything. Everybody was welcoming to me in the town and whatnot. Even though, again, I was just like the only black guy there. I did see some Asians. Some Asians would, you know, they were there. So I did have some. There was an Asian restaurant there, so I did actually have some Asian food, which was pretty cool. But yeah, nobody that looked at me, and it was a big thing. Everybody was just staring like, wow, like, this is what this black people
Yes.
look like. So
Mhm.
it was kind of cool. But other than that, other spots I went to, I can't say I had an issue. Again, they love the sport over there, so they do anything for us, you know. So I wouldn't even say I had any type of racist experience being on the circuit.
It's great to hear, right? That
Yeah,
people, were accepting of you, just for who you are, right? They're happy to
yeah,
see you, and um,
yeah.
yeah, so that's great.
And I'm obviously, I think a lot of people, like, you know, paved the way for us, right?
Mhm.
It probably wouldn't have been like that a couple of years before that, but you know, we had some guys that probably performed very well, and they realized that, you know what, we actually could like black people, you know. So, you know, our other, uh, you know, race. So I definitely give thanks to everybody from back in the day that competed. You know, from Ben Johnson, Donovan for Canada.
Mhm.
You know, these guys, they dominated the sports back then, and you know, a lot of people, I feel like they appreciate them stepping on the track and being entertaining and whatnot. So you know, they probably experienced somewhat, you know, but I'm pretty sure once they started to run and stuff like that, then you know, they probably end up loving them for what they're doing. You know.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I was thinking maybe you could, and you've done it actually all the way through our discussion, but maybe some
Mhm.
advice for our athletes, the players at the club, in terms
Yes.
of um, reaching their goals, right? And doing their
Yeah.
best to obtain their goals. Is there anything that you would like to, say to them, or any kind of message?
Yeah, for sure. Like again, we can't. You know, we want to have that goal. You know, like put on your wall. You know what you want to achieve. You know, in soccer or any sport or anything in life. You know, you want to put that on the wall and just remind yourself every day that this is what you want to achieve. And I think once you do that, it holds you accountable to, you know, especially when you be walking out that door, your door is closed, and you keep seeing that goal. You know, you're like, what am I doing? Why am I, why am I eating McDonald's? Why am I, you know, you want to
Mhm.
make sure that when you come out, get out that door, that, you know, you're doing everything possible to achieve that goal. You might take some time off here and there, but, you know, the grand scheme of things is right there in front of you. And, you know, you want to reach that light in the tunnel. You want to reach that, get over that hump. You know, it's going to be a lot of hard work. Anything in life is going to be hard, especially if you want to really, really achieve it. But you want to make sure that you have that up. For me, I wanted to make an Olympic team, so I had the rings up on my door. So every day I pass it, I'm like, man, I have to make this team. You know, I tried in 2008, I didn't make the team. But you know what, I'm like, you know what, 2012, I have to make this team. I have to make sure that, you know, when I went out and I did it, I made the team 2012. And I said, you know what, let's go again. You know, pandemic came, but we
Mhm.
were like, let's go again. Let's see if you could do it one more time, you know. And again, so for me, I set my goal. You know, obviously that's, you know, to Olympics, it could be a little bit extreme, but to others that want to just make, you know, get a scholarship or, you know, be on a professional team for soccer or, you know, become a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, firefighter, you know, just put it on the wall and just walk out that door every day trying to achieve that.
Yeah, great advice. Thank you. Um,
Yeah.
and for you, what's next? What's next for Gavin?
Well, you know, the kids, you know, I want to give back to the kids. So, you know, me, actually, well, I had a kid that wanted to train with me. I was running on the track um, during the pandemic, and a kid came up to me and said, "Man, could you train me, please?" And you know, he was involved with baseball, and I was like, you know what? All right, let's get things started and, you know, try see what you can do, because at the time I had, obviously, pandemic, you have a lot of time, and you know, I started coaching him, and um, you know, he wasn't the fastest. You know, technique was very off, but you know what? He came every day and he gave it his all. So I love that about him. And when he did that, like a couple weeks after, he started seeing the time difference, you know, because I was constantly timing him to tell him to race against himself.
Mhm.
And, you know, maybe every other week, I'll see the time drop, 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 drop. So right now, he's probably one of the fastest on his team from being the slowest on his team. And it didn't take much for him just because he was so disciplined and he wanted to work very hard to achieve it. So I was very happy to see him come out. So when I started seeing those results and what what he could do and some simple technique I started to give him and it started working for him. It brought joy to myself. So I was like, man, this could be a thing for me. So I started helping out some soccer teams and basketball teams, and I realized that it made a big difference in a lot of these teams. Especially in my basketball program right now, they're blowing out teams by 60, as I told you from before. So
Mhm.
and again, it's not just going out to just like people just think track is just you just go and just run, right? But no, you have to go through that fitness part of things to make sure you're in great shape before you actually start doing that sprinting aspect. So we grind for 6 to 12 weeks, and then we get them sprinting right after that. But we make sure that we maintain like technique and stuff like that to make sure. So coaching is a thing for me, especially when it comes to kids, and I want Canadian sports to become better, better than everybody in the world. So I'm just trying to be that coach, behind the scenes that just help to get them to that level. Get a lot of these kids maybe even signed into to a lot of clubs in Europe, like Alfonso. Like it's
Mhm.
and we see how fast Alfonso is.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so I'm hoping to be that coach to take them to that next level speed and just make them enjoy themselves doing it as well. So yeah, that's my next step, being that speed development coach.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
good luck with that. And
Thank you so much.
yeah, we'll definitely be watching out for you and your next steps in your career. And I want to thank you for taking some time today and sharing your experiences and providing advice and to our players and the parents as well, because they play a big part in the player
For sure.
development. And yeah, just thank you very much. We appreciate your time, and um, we'll share some contact information for you as well if you like in
Yeah,
the video if
yeah.
people want to reach out to you. And
Oh yeah, well, yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead. No, you're good.
Oh no, I was just saying, like, if Instagram is there for now, but definitely everything is there on Instagram. If they want Twitter, Facebook, you could reach out to me at Gavin Smellie. So which is Smellie and Gavin. So you can reach out to me at any time, and yeah, we'll
Perfect.
work together.
Yes. Thanks, Gavin.
All right, thank you.